Astronomical Arm Day Spring Bulk Part 3. Here we are training arms. Now, if you actually remember on the first video how I mentioned the split was supposed to go, you know that there was another leg day that was missed out on. Turns out I didn't record the second leg day of this summer bulk, which is absolutely fantastic. And who even knows? If you see the next video and it turns out to be like back or chest and shoulders, then just know you're not getting a leg video for a while. But I assure you I train legs. I assure you I train them hard. I just don't record them for some reason. I mean, I don't know. But today is obviously part 3. We're training arms, arm annihilation. Now, arms are the #1 muscle that I want to improve. Both biceps and triceps, I really want to improve them because on the front double bicep, I feel like they are lacking. It may be the way I'm posing them because when I do a side chest, they look succulent. But when I do a front double or even a back double, they look lacking compared to like my back or chest, depending on the pose. Now, usually I'd start out with triceps. Usually that's what I'd recommend. I felt like starting with something different. So I was like, you know what, today we'll do biceps first. And it turned out to be, I wouldn't say a mistake, but definitely not the best arm day. It wasn't bad. It was just a pretty good pump. The triceps were insanely pumped, that's for sure. Biceps were all right. So we start off with cable curls, one of the best movements for me in terms of getting in contraction. Now, one of the mistakes I made with this arm day, it wouldn't really be a mistake, but something I kind of changed up, was trying to go slow and controlled, and that just didn't work for me. Like, my philosophy for the most part has been to go heavy and to go hard, and to not pay too much attention to form, controlling the eccentric, and all these minor details. And the reason for that is I feel like if you load up the muscle with as much weight as possible, you're going to be at maximum exertion for a longer period of time than if you put it at a light weight and kind of force yourself to feel like you're at maximum exertion when you're really not because the weight isn't heavy enough. I hope that made sense, but that's kind of a reason why I now lean even more towards the fact that I don't really want to control the eccentric to slow the movement down. I just don't think it's necessary, and this arm day is a good example of that. Like, for example, when I trained the triceps, I just felt a ridiculous pump just by bouncing the weight around, versus with biceps, for specific parts of the workout, I slowed it down and didn't feel it as much as I should have. Anyways, cable curls go down. For the first 3 sets, I used like that weird squiggly grip thingy. I do a couple drop sets, I think, here in total. I did 4 sets, 4 actual sets in total, 2 drop sets, and last set was with the rope, just because I was feeling like this really weird pain in my ulna. I've been having that pain for a really long time. I think a lot of people have it too when they do bicep curls. It's like the distal part of the ulna, kind of. I hope those terms make sense to you, but we're going to standing bicep curls. Now, everyone's going to criticize my form here, saying I'm swinging. I'm not bringing the dumbbell up to the front of my body. I'm not controlling. I don't care. This is how I do bicep curls. I think 50s are actually pretty solid for this movement. So I'm going to swing these around. I think I got 16 reps here for the first set with the 50s, which is actually really solid for biceps, as they've always been like a weak muscle group for me in terms of size and strength. But I got some pretty decent reps here. I swing a lot on the last few because I just got to squeeze out extra few reps. I try to squeeze at the top as well for some of the later sets as well. What you'll see is that you'll notice this with a lot of my workouts. It starts off with heavy movements and just swinging weight around, and then it slowly gets to like squeezing movements and like stretching movements and focusing on things like that. I don't like to start off the workout with slow eccentrics and like that kind of stuff because it just doesn't work, as I mentioned earlier in the video, which was literally like a minute ago. Yeah, I go heavy here. I tone it down to the 45s, and then I finish with the 40s. I think I did 3 sets of standing curls here. 3, maybe 4. I think 3 though. It's a great exercise. A lot of people would say that's not optimal because you're resting one arm and you're using the other one. I honestly couldn't give less of a shit for what people say because like half the people on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok don't even know what they're talking about. Their physiques don't even look good. And they've looked the same for the last like 6 years. So I'm just not going to take their advice. What I do on the last set is I grab like an easy bar, really light, like 50 pounds. I just pump out a few more reps. Really get blunt into that muscle right now. The biceps are absolutely blown up right now. It was towards the middle part of the workout where the pump slowed down, but around here started to pick up again, especially when I got to one of my favorite exercises, which is the cable curl. It's like the dual cable curl. I don't even know what you'd call it, but basically you get the cables, you got a handle in each of the cables, you just curl it. It won't work with the standard cable rack. You need to have like this kind of dual cable setup thingy where you can adjust the handles and make them both at the bottom. This is the best machine for this exercise by far. I really like it. The stretch is insane. The squeeze is insane. The range of motion is good. Everything's good about it. I load it up. I swing it around. I get a ridiculous pump. The biceps, I mean, it's really simple. I feel like a lot of people want to get bigger arms, but it's just simple training at the end of the day. I mean, just anything where you curl your arm is working your bicep. Anything where you extend your arm is working your tricep. I don't see the need to overcomplicate things, so just don't do that. As you can see, I'm training hard as well, going to failure, but that is pretty much it for biceps. There isn't really much more to cover other than that. So now let's move on to triceps, the best part of the workout this time around. With triceps, I warm up a little bit, just around like 50, 65 pounds. Then I throw on the full sack. I think I can get like 12 good reps here. Now you'll notice I'm not fully extending it here. And the style of tricep pushdowns I'm doing is not typical. It's more like digging, if you know what I mean. Like a digging motion where you have like a shovel in your hand and you're trying to like push it down into the ground. That's kind of how I'm doing my tricep pushdowns. I'm getting like on top of the weight and extending in a different way than what most people do with triceps. Most people lock in their shoulders and they're solely doing like elbow extension, which anatomically should work your triceps more. But for me, when you load up more weight and you do it this way, it just feels a lot better. Now, granted, I'm not completely using my chest to push this weight down. It's in fact a lot of triceps. And I know that because for the most part, the cable or like the bar or whatever is traveling in a pretty straight direction. And like I'm not completely bent on top of the bar. There's a little bit of bend. The shoulders are rotated internally, but I'm still getting a ton of tension on the triceps. And at the end of the day, this movement is all about tension in the triceps. I even get a little gutsy and throw on an extra 5 pounds, do 100-pound tricep pushdowns on this machine. It's weird, like in the video, it doesn't look like I even come to parallel, but I feel like I did when I look at myself in the mirror. I don't know why it looks like that, but I guess it just does. I don't understand it. Either way, the range of motion is good enough here. The stretch at the top is wild and the squeeze at the bottom is insane. Overall, triceps are absolutely blown up by this exercise. I did 5 sets and pretty much all of them were with the stack or heavier. Next is this overhead rope extension. This is also really good. I didn't feel it too much today, but it's also a pretty good exercise. I loaded up some pretty decent weight. I think 57.5 pounds on this stack was what I was doing. I lowered it to 50 afterwards. But overheads tend to target the long head of the tricep more, and pushdowns tend to target the lateral head. So the long head, when you do a front double bicep, it's the long head that's like drooping down and making your arm look 3D, versus when you're doing a back double bicep, it's the lateral head that's like sticking out and giving your arm the 3D look from the back. And when you do a side chest, it's also a lot more lateral head, but both of them are obviously super important. There's the medial head as well, but it's less known. Long head is something you really want to target if your triceps look weak on the front double bicep shot, which for me they do. So I probably should be adding a lot more of these overhead extension exercises than I am with the push downs. Regardless, I do a few sets here, maybe a couple drops. I think a drop set at the end is what I did. And I move on to something else, which is actually a superset, but this first part of the superset is called a JM press. It may look like skull crushers to you, but you'll notice that I'm not actually doing a skull crusher. Like the way I'm bringing the bar down is I'm not fully bringing it behind my head. I'm literally bringing it down to my eyes and pushing it up. It's like an in-between of a skull crusher and just like a regular bench press. But when I reach failure with this exercise, what I do is bring it lower on my chest and just do like close grip bench until I'm like completely fatigued in the triceps. That burn is crazy. And this weight felt really light. 80 pounds felt like nothing. So last set I bumped it up to 90 pounds and that felt really good. So it's probably going to be the way from now on, showing that I'm actually making progress, which is absolutely the best feeling. But 3 sets of that and we are good. Here's some posing. As you can see, like the most muscular in the side chest, I look insanely like round for some reason. I know it's the pump and everything, but compared to like my front double bicep, I look super round. I need to fix up that pose. I need to suck in my waist more properly. I need to like bring my waist in more just in general through the pose. Look at the side chest though. I mean like the tricep, the bicep, the chest, the side leg. That side leg wins me shots. I do a side tricep even though it's not a mandatory pose in classic. But I mean, I think I look pretty good here. Here's another angle and another place in the gym. Again, most muscular is looking good, but it's the front double that I really need to work on. It looks a lot better here because of the way I'm posing it, but in general, I feel like, again, that long head of the tricep is super important for the front double bicep, and generally just getting the bicep peaks in there as well. The lats. Like my lats, I feel like from the back, you'll see in this later in the pose a little bit later, like my lats are good. Like I have pretty big lats, but in the front shots, they don't look that good. And maybe because I can't open them up very well, that may be a reason you can't really see your lats that much. But it also may just be that my lats aren't very big. And when in doubt, just tell yourself that you're not big enough. Because if you say that, you're going to work 10 times harder and you're going to achieve your goal faster. So, I mean, like if you look at Chris Bumstead, the reason he wins Olympias like it's absolutely nothing is because he's so much wider than the competition. You look at Ramon right beside Chris, and the reason Ramon can't beat him is simply because of Chris's width in the back and because of his leg size. Legs and width are what wins classic physique shows in my opinion, because the width of the lats gives you the V-taper look and the legs gives you like that X shape. Like Ramon has ridiculous arms, really good forearms and shoulders and that kind of part of the physique, but Chris just beats him in the back and the legs. And that's simply the reason why he's pretty much going to win like every Olympia till he retires. So if you're trying to get to classic physique, I think back and legs are your best bet. Arms are obviously important, but you can win amateur shows. You can probably get your pro card by not entirely focusing on getting massive arms like Nick Walker style physique and instead just trying to get that shape down. The shape is the most important thing. Like C-Bum's weakest body part is his biceps and he's won 4 Olympias already. But anyways, I'm going off on a tangent now. That's it for the arm day. Pretty simple stuff here. Like there's nothing extraordinary about my workouts. They're just simply hard and effective. Hope you learned something from it though. I'll see you in the next video, which will hopefully be legs, but I don't guarantee it.